Hello everybody, sorry I am running a little bit late. I just got off a massive call with my membership where we did a bunch of stuff around business foundation, so we went over time with that. But I wanted to jump on today and answer a really good question that I got, which is all about like, do you need separate brand names when you are, this can apply to pen names if you write under different genres, or if you maybe have your books and then you have like a side hustle, like a service side hustle to support the books, or you have a separate business going on. So I wanted to come on and answer this question because I know a lot of you follow me, a lot of you watch what I do, and you see that I have like 10 million brands, right? So I want to talk about why I have multiple brands, and I want to talk about why you maybe do or don't want to do that yourself, and just a few thoughts around that, and hopefully that'll clarify that. So first of all, I'm just going to bring up these comments in case we get any while I'm live. And if you are here live, say hello. Alrighty. So this question came in because the person who submitted it basically said that they write non-fiction and they write fiction, and they want to start making courses for creatives or pursue speaking or workshops. And they don't really like the idea of starting from scratch, but they're wondering if it would be worth it to separate these things or to do it all under one umbrella. So this is a really good question. I know that for me, I just felt a certain way about it when I started out. So back in 2017, obviously I had my author brand that I'd already established a year before, and it was still like a work in progress. I was still learning how to do it back then, but I had that and I wanted to start a business, right? And it was this business, Paperback Kingdom. And I did consider doing it under the same brand, but I decided to separate them and create them separately because I really saw the business to be a separate thing. That is ultimately why. I didn't really see it as something that I did on the side with my books. I didn't see it as something that, I could really put under the umbrella of my books. I really saw it to be its own individual thing that would have a life of its own, that would eventually be a company with team members, that would be bringing in a certain amount of income per year, and I just really saw it to be its own thing. That was really the ultimate decision around why I created separate brands. I also wanted that freedom to be really intentional around how I branded everything specifically. So like with my books, obviously I have a very different target audience, and my visuals and my messaging and everything to do with that is going to be a little bit different because it's targeted to a different person. So I wanted the freedom with my business to be able to brand it differently and to be able to target a different audience there and not have confusion or overlaps between the two, right? That doesn't mean that I haven't brought it together every now and then. Like sometimes I'll do like a partnership between the two to help do things together, but ultimately I haven't really done that. So that was my choice in keeping it separate. The other reason I did that is because my brain needs separation. I'm very organized. I need to color code everything when I'm planning stuff, or else I can't follow it. So when it comes to me running two separate businesses, I need to be organized in how I do them, and it's helpful for me to have separation between the two. So even with the branding, whenever I'm planning stuff around my main books, I'll put it in pink. And whenever I'm planning stuff around my business, I'll put it in blue. And whenever I'm planning stuff around my pen name, 𝗙𝘂𝗹𝗪, which is also separate, I'll do that in green. And then with my new Pagan science coaching, I'll do that in yellow, right? So it just keeps my brain separate with everything, and it keeps everything very focused, right? So that doesn't mean you necessarily have to do it that way. And what I will say as well is that, like, I was intentional in the start that I created this business and I gave it a name, right? Because again, I saw it as a separate thing. So I named it Paperback Kingdom. I didn't just like show up as myself and call myself Pagan, Malcolm, a coach, and also an author, right? And then put it all under one umbrella and be able to pivot at any time. So the problem I've kind of boxed myself into is that with my business, if I ever want to change niches, I can't really. Like, people know Paperback Kingdom. They know it's about books. They know it's specifically for fiction authors. If I turned around tomorrow and started doing fitness, like, people would be like, what the heck, right? It just wouldn't work. Even my tax accountants know that it's Paperback Kingdom and it's for authors, and that if I ever sold anything that wasn't relating to authors, I'd be in trouble, right? So I can't do that, right? If it were just me as a coach, I could change niches and I could change my offers, and I could do that without much work. So I think you want to consider that part of it as well. If you want to put everything under one umbrella, is there a potential that you might want to do something different one day? Or that you might want to take things out and only focus on one thing eventually, right? If that's the case, it might serve you to keep things under one name so you're not having to pivot different things or create new things all the time to give yourself that flexibility, right? So that's one thing I consider. The other thing I'd look at is, does it actually fit under one umbrella? So what I noticed is that in the beginning, my books didn't really. Like, I could have done them together, right? But what I just really wanted them to be separate. So I didn't really see it that way. As time went on and I added my pen name books and I added the Pagan Science coaching branch, what I realized is that my values and my work with clients and like my mission overall with my work has kind of started to bleed together to the point where it's come full circle. And I feel like now is a time when I could potentially put everything under one umbrella if I wanted to. I don't think I will because it would be a lot of work, quite frankly. But like, it's possible. In the beginning, it would have been kind of weird to have like romance books, fantasy books, coaching, and like specific courses and things, right? I think that would have been a little bit odd. Like, I could have made it work, but it would have been a bit odd the way it was branded. Now it's like, I'm 𝗙𝗂𝗹𝗪 and I'm known to do all things authorship and writing. So people know that I have written for video games and I've written articles and I've written copywriting and I, do all these other things. I've done blogs, I've done freelance work of all kinds, and I've written books and I've sold books, and then I've done nonfiction and I've done speaking and I've done public events and I've done courses all relating to books and writing. And I've done private coaching and masterminds, and I've done coaching for service providers in the industry. So I've done all of it now. And it is at a point where I could bring it all under one umbrella and just be 𝗙𝗂𝗹𝗪 and just be like the expert for all of it, right? And that makes sense now because there's more to it and there's more mission behind it and there's more purpose and stuff behind it. And there's more credibility behind it as well. There's more stuff that I've actually achieved and accomplished with it. So for me to bring it all together now would be like 𝗙𝗂𝗪 books, like speaking, coaching, workshops, right? Like I could really categorize it a bit better in a sense that I'd be bringing everything together. I wouldn't just have like PBK coaching and then Pagan Science coaching courses, right? Like it would all be under one. It would be like everything's merged, and then the books would be merged. It would be like 𝗙𝗂𝗪 and Pagan 𝗪𝗪 would be merged under one books. And so like it'd be more like the categories than the brand itself, if that makes sense. And like I'm visualizing this like on a website, for example. So like there might be a point in time where it would make sense to merge things and bring it together. Maybe that's not right now. So is there a potential that you might want to grow your brand vision a bit bigger as well? And if that's the case, can we plan for that? Even if we don't set out doing it in the beginning, can we plan for a merge later, right? That's something I'd be looking at as well. So ultimately, you can't really make a wrong move here. Like there's always a way to change things later on. You can never you never box yourself essentially into one thing. Like I could close Paperback Kingdom and start a new thing. Like that's always an option, right? I have to pay for a new business name, but that's fine. You're not really locked into anything. It's just that you might create challenges for yourself later, but there's nothing that you can't fix, right? So I wouldn't overthink it or panic about it too much. I just think about, well, what works for me right now and what maybe do I want to be aware of for later on. But this is also where having a really solid vision for what you're setting out to do and achieve is actually really important as well. So I actually talk a lot about this in a challenge I did last year. I'm going to bring this up and drop it below for people who might be interested. So I did this on my podcast, so you can go listen to all 5 days for free. And there's a sign up for it as well. Actually, let me see if I can find the sign up for you. That might be easier, but it might be in the show notes. Let me just have a look. So it is the, what did I call it? The Author Business Secrets Challenge. Because I used to do this as an email challenge and it was very successful, and then I kind of simplified it. So yeah, so you can actually sign up and then you'll get challenge workbooks with it as well, which might be very helpful. So I'll direct you to the sign up and then you'll get access to the episodes and everything with that. It's, you can access it anytime. So I'll pop that in the comments below. Basically, this is a challenge that walks you through how to start treating your books like a business, right? And really thinking like a publisher and a CEO. So that might help you to plan this out as well. So I'm just going to walk you through what this is. So basically, oh damn it, I don't go through the days. Let me go through the days per episode real quick. So on day one, I think day one's the most important one because we talk about setting the right goals on your author journey, how to reverse engineer the journey to accomplishing them. So I walk you through like top 5 author goals, how to pick goals that light you up, how to shift from not knowing how to accomplish your goal to creating an actionable game plan. And I walk you through stuff that I did for myself. Like, for example, me getting a publisher, me getting into Writer's Digest. Like, how did I do those things, right? How did I reverse engineer the journey? I talked about a couple of other things, like becoming a best-selling author, doing my first book tours. Like, those are all goals that I had starting out that I've now done all those things, and now I have bigger goals, but it's like those were my original goals. So look at your original goals and what you want to accomplish with your brand and your books and your courses, and look at, well, what makes sense here for me to plan out the journey and the pathway and the action steps. And it's actually, funnily enough, I just had a really big conversation in my membership around similar stuff here, around thinking about like, what are your main goals and what are the action steps that are going to get you there. So even in the beginning, when you're trying to figure out like, what do I focus on right now to get to my next level, and like, what are the needle moving activities that are going to get me there, I'd really be looking at like, what is your main income goal? What are your main business or book goals? And what is your main time goal? Like, how often do you want to be working on this, right? Because you want the things that you're doing to be in alignment with that as well. So this is a really great challenge because it'll walk you through that stuff, and it also walks you through like all sorts of other stuff. I'll bring up the other days and give you a quick run through. So day 2 walks you through thinking like a publisher. This is all mindset. Clearing the limiting beliefs that are holding you back from your goals. So it helps you identify any limiting beliefs that might be holding you back and how to work through those. Day 3 talks about the essential processes and habits that will support you in your author journey and create a sustainable foundation for you. So, how to figure out your roles in authorship, foundational processes that are going to help you, and the most important thing you should be doing as an author that will help you be successful. Then on day 4, we talk about 2 ways that you can create more support with your author brand as you continue to grow and scale. So the number 1 reason that I still have an author business today, which is still true, and I talk about what that thing is, the best investment you can possibly make in your author journey, and the power of surrounding yourself with like-minded authors. And also day 5, which is talking about how to take massive action on everything that we've talked about in the past 4 days. So it's like the difference between your big well-known authors like Sarah J. Maas and Stephen King and you, and examples of aligned actions that I took to achieve my goals, and how you can continue to do this work. So that is all about that challenge. And I really think that going through it will be helpful, because if you're trying to plan out some really basic level stuff, like how should I brand myself? How should I position myself? How should I go about setting up my courses, or setting up, these fiction and non-fiction branches? How should I set up my coaching? How should I do author events? How should I get into bookstores, right? How should I establish these things? This is really helpful to have insights on from the beginning, so that you're taking the right actions to get there the whole way, and that you're not derailing yourself, or maybe setting yourself up for something that you've got to burn down later. Like, a big mistake that I made a couple of years ago in my business specifically was I built this entire product suite that made sense on paper. It was very logical. It was like, we'll do like a writing course, and then it'll lead to a publishing course because that's the next step, and then it'll lead to a marketing course because that's the next step. And like, I built this all out, and different price points and everything, it all made sense, and it didn't convert, it didn't work, right? And then I realized like my energy and what I wanted to do in business wasn't behind it, because it was very much like all required time from me. And I was like, I just want things to be a bit more passive. So I ended up burning the whole thing down and simplifying everything. And now I've got these foundational courses that can run without me, but have support aspects to them, so that I can still give like a little bit of time every week. People are still getting supported, they're getting big results, but I don't have to be in each program every day, like giving all my time and energy. So they work better for me. They allow me to go off and work on my books. They work better for my clients. They're getting better results because the energy behind them is better. And like the intention, everything's better. The accountability of how they're set up is better. The systems are better. Everything is just has more thought to it. And even though maybe like there's no okay, so like you can still technically go from like the writing course to the publishing course to the, the bestseller energy embodiment course. Like there's still like a pathway technically, but there's not really meant to be, because people are at different stages of their author journey. So I don't really expect people to go from one to the other. I expect them to go to whatever works for them at that given time. So like, it was about stepping away from like, this is what makes logical sense on paper versus this is what I actually want to create. This is what I actually want to show up for every day. This is actually what will work for me and support my books, right? This was part of the conversation we had in the membership was, are you building a business that actually supports your books in terms of like It's going to give you the time to work on them. It's going to give you that financial foundation to work on them and feel safe and secure in working on them. It's going to give you that financial investment money to be able to hire support or outsource editing or do the things that are going to help you, right? If that's not happening and you've built a business that just goes, like, ends up requiring more time and energy from you than for the books and, like, just isn't in alignment at all, you're going to have a really rough time, right? So I know this went, like, a little bit off track, but I do think it's on the subject a little bit of, like, do you need different brands or not? Because, like, there's not really a clear answer to that, right? Like, it really depends on what you want to go out and accomplish. It depends on you having clarity on these things. Like, it's not going to make a big difference in the long run of how well things sell, because it's not really like you have the perfect strategy or you have the perfect branding. Like, these things help to attract in the right people, but ultimately it's about you and how you're showing up and your energy. I have this saying, because a lot of clients come to me and kind of say to me, like, hey, I saw that, I need this ad strategy, should I start doing ads? Or I saw this person talking about newsletters, should I have a newsletter? And what I tell them is that all the strategies work, because they do, or else people wouldn't be selling them and making money from them. All the strategies work to sell books. It's about finding a strategy that works for you, that's going to support your energy, it's going to support your values, it's going to support how you feel, it's going to support what you want to be doing versus what you don't want to be doing. It's going to support the amount of money you want to be making. It's going to support the amount of time you want to be putting into it. It's about finding what works for you, right? That's the most important thing, is building a business and brand and presenting yourself online and showing up in a way that works for you. Not having, like, the perfect branding, the perfect strategy, the perfect positioning and all this stuff. I really think that's secondary. Still important, but it's secondary, right? So that's basically what I wanted to say. I know it was a quick one. I hope that you got some insights from it and that it was helpful and valuable. Let me know if it was. Let me know if it answered your question. Let me know if it gave you enough to think about to help you make that decision. We can always talk more about it in the comments. But that's all that I have to say. So go check out that challenge if you want to work through that. That'll help you. It's totally free. And that is all I'll say, and I'll chat to you next week.